my God, we are live and it worked.
Yay!
I know we look like we're about to go, fly an airplane, but welcome everybody. We are so excited that you're here. My name's Adrienne Wee, and I'm with the lovely Ashley Howell, and this is FML, Fertile Me Live. We are so excited. This is episode 2, and you have no idea just how excited I am. I keep saying that, but we finally got the tech to work. Everything is falling into place. It's working now. So we'll be doing this
fancy
graphics, our little, headphones. And I know we look a little silly, but this really, I can hear Ashley so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Blocks out background noise. And anyway, I have a different background today, Ashley. I don't know if you noticed.
I did.
And, I just like to change things up a little bit. And it today I just felt this need to change up my background. And then I was like, hey, kind of goes along with what I wanted to talk about. Ami, hey! So glad that you can make it. We love Ami. Do you see Ami's comment, Ashley? Oh, on the screen, you don't see it? Okay. Well, she's commenting on the Facebook Live, so I'm sure that you could.
Yeah, I just switched over to comments. Hi, Ami.
Welcome, ladies. So anyway, I kind of want to start the show. Wanted to share what Ash and I were talking about earlier today, and I think it could really benefit a lot of you because she had her aha moment about inflammation. And I don't know, it was the way I said it that she was like, oh my God, I've never thought of it that way. But we're just talking about inflammation and omega-3 and why it's so important to take the entire omega-3, because you hear DHA, but the thing is DHA, you need it for baby's brain development once you're pregnant. And that's why it's been promoted a gajillion thousand times over as the most important omega-3 component. But you really need the entire omega-3 because of the anti-inflammation properties of omega-3. And one of the ways that we boost egg quality and fertility is to reduce inflammation. When your body's really inflamed, it's not the most healthy. It's fighting all sorts of different things, it's fighting on so many different fronts. And
that was my aha moment, is I had memorized that anti-inflammatory things are good for fertility, boost your egg quality, but I just kept saying, like I was a toddler, every time Adrienne would say something, I just kept saying, but why? Okay, but why? And then we finally got down to it, and she was just like, because it helps with egg quality. And I said, but why?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she said, well, tell them how you explained it. You said it when your body is inflamed.
Right, your body's inflamed. It's fighting on many different fronts. And when your body's really stressed out, the only thing it cares about is survival. And that means keeping the core functions going, and the rest that's not necessary for survival just kind of gets shut down. And reproduction is one of them.
Right.
So it cares about, brain, digestion, elimination. Those are the core core systems that's needed for survival. And, we all like to think that fertility is one of the most important, and hormones and reproduction, but when you really sit down and think about it, it isn't. You don't need to have a baby or ovulate or have your period to survive. You need food and water and shelter, right? Actually, you said food, shelter, water, safety. What else? There were 5 things that you mentioned. But, right. So
that made sense to me that I was like, oh, well, then obviously it helps fertility, because when you take an anti-inflammatory or something that's so great, like omega-3 EPA, right?
And DHA. Well, the whole omega-3.
DHA, right. Instead
You
of
need-
just the DHA or whatever, then absolutely, then that helps your body, your whole body health.
Mhm.
And without being inflamed, your body can just function properly and be able to focus itself on fertility. That makes sense to me.
Totally. And an omega-3 is one of the most effective tools we have, because most people's diet nowadays, we're eating way too much omega-6 versus omega-3s foods. And omega-6, although we need it, too much of it can cause inflammation. So that's why omega-3 is a really good way to restore that balance. So you can't just take DHA. Like, that doesn't make any sense, because you're missing out on so many other, things. But once you're pregnant, absolutely take all the DHA, extra DHA that you want, because it absolutely is one of the best ingredients for babies' brain development and all that. But
Right.
I still 100% hands down vote for the entire omega-3, even during pregnancy, and not just take the DHA. Anyway, I wanted to share that because I just thought, well, first of all, it made me feel good, because I was like, aha, I explained something that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, hey, sometimes I'm using like words that are too big that, kind of over people's heads, just because when you go to school and, when you're a doctor, you use a lot of medical terms, and it's really hard sometimes for you to think about whether or not something that you say is going to make sense to the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, it's just the level of knowledge is all. Just because you're like, duh, because it's an anti-inflammatory. And I'm like, great. The hell's that supposed to mean to me? I mean, I don't know what that is. I know what that is, but I don't know what that specifically has to do with my eggs. I don't
Exactly.
I need someone to tell me how and why.
Yep.
It's annoying.
And, even though my dad, he's not trying to get pregnant or anything, but he's been taking our omega-3 for 2 months, and his blood pressure went dramatically, was lowered dramatically. So, it's omega-3 is just a really great, well-rounded supplement that everybody should be taking. Okay. Anyway, on to today's main topic. First of all, I wanted to talk about one mistake that I see a lot of people make when they're trying to get pregnant, specifically when they're searching on the internet for information. And then also I want to talk more about Chinese medicine. That's my background. That's what's so special about our methodology. And it's part of our methodology along with some modern functional medicine stuff. So I think it's really important that we talk about Chinese medicine, because it's new. And it may be, for some of you, this is the very first time that you're hearing about a whole other medical system that existed thousands of years even before Western medicine.
Yeah. So when we start to talk about that, I'm going to get exactly to where we left off last time, in case anybody's following and learning the basics from scratch.
And also too, the reason why I was like, hey, I'm going to change things up. And then it dawned on me that for a lot of you, this could be a change. It's a change of but it's a new way of looking at your body. It's a new way of looking at diet. It's a new way of looking at your fertility. But change is good sometimes, because one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of people make is that shiny object syndrome. Information is at our fingertips, and it is, and I see it so much, because today you're like, oh my God, I read this article. It says that I should be eating these 3 foods. So I'm going to eat these 3 foods. Tomorrow you might be like, oh shit. They just said that, we shouldn't be eating tuna. What am I going to do? I ate a bunch of tuna. And then the next day you're like, hey, maybe let me try this yoga pose. So that's what I call the shiny object syndrome. You're constantly trying to chase what's new, and you're constantly switching things up. So that is an instance where change is not good, because first of all, you're not even giving your body enough time to adjust to the change that you made in the first place. It takes 3 months.
And I think that that's what's happened with these single herbs that Western medicine has like randomly embraced, and like Vitex and Dongui. And it's like, I think that's like kind of a shiny object, because it's like, oh God, did you know you can take this herb that'll make you ovulate? And it's, while herbs are great, you need a combination of them, but Vitex has just been this new shiny thing that no one's tried before, and so everybody's getting on it, and it's not necessarily good.
Right. And even Dongui, right? Dongui is a Chinese herb that we use very, very often. It can be used in soups. It's in the peaceful blend. It's in the grateful blend. But you should never take Dongui by itself. Right. Dongui is not to be taken by itself. And I'm seeing it being sold over the counter. And I'm like, keep walking, don't say anything. But all I want to do is just pull all these stupid teas off the shelf and like rip them apart and probably go to jail.
You would.
Yes. But then I'll call you to bail me out. No? Okay. She just gave me this look like,
you have to transfer some funds. You'd have to give me the PIN number. I'd come and bail you out.
Anyway, so my point is, it's so great that we have advancements in medicine and like all these new things that are coming out and new studies are being done, but it doesn't mean that every single thing will apply to you. And it doesn't mean that you should just jump on the first thing that people say that you should do. Right?
And this has been around for thousands and thousands of years.
Thousands. Yeah. This is the only medical system that has a proven track record. Like, what more do you want, right? It's 3,000 years of proven, like, the 4 substances hasn't changed. The patterns have not changed. The acupuncture points have not changed. I mean, the way we use them have changed in some certain, instances.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier about trust. I said it's something that I can trust instead of these new things that are coming out.
Yeah. And just because it's not mainstream or it's not like a primary, well, actually it depends on where. In California, we are the primary healthcare providers, but just because it's not Western medicine and just because it's not a quick fix, it doesn't mean it doesn't work. And that's the advantage of Chinese medicine. It's the fact that it doesn't change, which means, like I was talking about last week, no matter where you are in life, you just need to know what your patterns are. Then you know what foods to eat. Then you know what you need to exercises that you should do. Then you know what supplements you can take.
It also can't hurt you.
No,
the raw
absolutely not.
Medication can.
And thousands of years ago, when this was the primary healthcare for ancient Chinese, of course, when people were just starting to learn about herbs and the properties and how to use them, of course, like the doctors themselves probably have died from tasting certain herbs. But that's why we have this huge materia medica of herbs to study from. It's because of all this work that has been this knowledge that has been passed down for thousands of years. So now we know exactly, and all these herbs are being studied too. Like, people are starting to study each herb. We had to learn the Latin name for these herbs. We had to learn the active ingredient. And that's what Western medicine does, is that they take an herb and extract the active ingredient.
Right.
And use that for medicine, but that's, Chinese medicine, it's a whole herb. So it's always going to be a little bit, it's more safe, it's safer.
It's like my search for the sunflower seed.
Oh my God. Yes. Like, no, I don't want the lecithin. I want the whole seed.
I asked every manufacturer in the world. They were like, oh, we have lecithin. I was like, no, I want a ground up sunflower seed. They were like, yeah, but we just take the lecithin out of it. I was like, no. Yeah. I need the seed. I was looking up seed farmers in rural areas. I was looking everywhere. It was no avail.
And it's crazy that nobody understands that concept, right?
No.
You're like, I literally just want you to take a seed and grind it up. That's it. That's it.
Whole seed.
If I could do it myself, I would.
I know.
And, mass produce it. But so that is the advantage of Chinese medicine, guys. So you can keep chasing symptoms. You can keep chasing the next best thing. And I know it's normal because you're searching for answers. Like when something doesn't happen the way that you had envisioned, it's very easy to be like, well, maybe I'm not doing this. Maybe I'm not doing that. Maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe, but, and absolutely not saying that you can't try something. I just need you to understand that throwing the kitchen sink at it is not going to work. Switching things up too frequently isn't going to work either. Because maybe the first thing that you tried 3 months ago, if you had stuck with it, it would have been that one thing that would have made a difference. So.
Yeah. And it is frustrating when you're faced with a length of time that you were not willing to wait. But the thing is that if you do the wrong thing over and over and over again, you will have wasted more time than that. So, but that's hard.
Yeah, because you can't tell the future. I mean, you can only make a decision based on the information that you have. And sometimes it doesn't always work out. But if you stick to something and you try it consistently for 3 months and you're like, well, it didn't work out in the end. Well, fine. It didn't work out. You tried, and then let's dig deeper. And that's the whole thing about my methodology too, and things that I teach my members, is that when something weird happens in 1 month, like maybe you ovulated earlier, maybe you have spotting, maybe you have a shorter cycle, don't worry, don't freak out, because unless it becomes a pattern, it's not a problem. We can't expect every single cycle to be exactly the same. Like that just does not happen. So you got it.
External factors.
Too many external factors. And you got to you got to stay consistent. And that's when I see people start changing the things that they're doing. They're like, well, gosh, I took this elixir for a month. I started spotting. Oh my God, I can't take it anymore. Then they go on to something else. And then it's like, oh, darn it. Like my cycle is shorter now. But I've read that, taking maca is going to help. So I'm going to take maca. That's what I do not want to see. Mm-hmm. Like that is that's one of the worst things you can do, because you're just confusing your body. All these herbs can affect hormones. So you're just taking something, well, Chinese herbs are different because they affect hormones by working on your pattern. But, Vitex and maca, there's no telling what it's going to do. It could completely mess up your cycle, delay your period. It can make your period disappear. And there's just not a lot of control when using these herbs, because when I give you a bottle of elixirs, I can tell you like half a teaspoon twice a day. I know exactly what's in here. I know exactly the percentages of the herbs, and I feel good about that. Versus for Vitex, do you need 300 milligrams, 600 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams? It's just not part of the elixirs are part of a medical system. It's like I said, these ratios, these herbal combinations, it's been around forever.
Yeah, and Vitex and maca work for some people. The people for whom they work are those that just happen to have needed exactly that for whatever for their pattern or their, you know what I mean? Like it's a
Exactly. And I can't even tell you clinically how many times I've seen Vitex mess up somebody's cycle. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I started taking that, my face broke out. All of a sudden, why is my period shorter? Where is my period? But Vitex may have worked for somebody who had high prolactin, mm-hmm. because Vitex reduces the prolactin level in the blood. Anyway, so let's get to Chinese medicine a little bit more.
So I'm sorry, Adrienne.
No.
I was just going to remind you. So last time we were starting right at the beginning, the 4 substances, we went over blood, we went over what qi is. And before we dove into the patterns, we just, we haven't been over what yin and yang really are.
Okay. So the four substances, qi, blood, yin, and yang. These are basically the four main ingredients, or what's the word I'm looking for? They power your body. Just put it that way. They power your body, and they correspond to all of the major organ systems in the body. So talk about major organ systems that we need to survive and thrive. We have the qi, blood, yin, and yang. So the yin and yang specifically mostly stem from the two kidneys that we have, the left and the right. And the kidney system is very, very important because from a Chinese medicine perspective, well, from a Western medicine perspective, you have your adrenal gland right there. You have the kidneys, like, they filter blood. They are responsible for water metabolism. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I was thinking, like, in Chinese medicine, the kidneys are very important because that's the life force. That's where life starts. That's where life begins. And you are born with a certain amount of energy in those two organs. So even though it's one organ system, they're two, left and right. They do different things.
Right.
And you are born with the kidneys are everything for us. It's your life force. It's your reproductive energy reservoir. It's that energy reservoir of what you're born with. And anytime that you need extra, you dip into your reservoir. That's why it's really important. Diet, lifestyle, everything is super important, because when one of the other two substances, like qi and blood, when those substances become deficient, you are dipping into your kidneys and you're dipping into your reproductive energy reservoir.
So what is the difference in yin and yang?
Left is yin, right is yang. So
what does yin do for your body? What does yang do for your body? Like, what's the difference in?
The yin energy is a little bit, if you want to think about it in hormone terms, just think estrogen. What it pertains to fertility is estrogen. Fluid, lubrication. So your cervical mucus is controlled by the yin energy. Egg quality is controlled by the yin energy a lot of times. And so the yang is the opposite of yin. It's the warming, more warm energy. And think progesterone. So like post-ovulation, progesterone production, lining, implantation.
The hard work.
Sustaining the pregnancy once you're pregnant. So that's why we look at the yin and yang and the two kidneys very, very differently than Western medicine. Because Western medicine's like, well, you can live without one.
Mm-hmm.
And in Chinese medicine, losing one kidney it's a serious matter, because if you lose the left kidney, that means the right kidney will have to do double the amount of work, and it's not even the right energetic.
Mm-hmm. So you just have to treat your whole body differently.
You have to treat your whole body. Yeah. Like your yin energy is probably going to be deficient. You're going to notice some of these signs of yin deficiency, which could be like, a lot of menopause women have yin deficiency. They have the hot flashes, the night sweats, the mood swings, the dryness, dry hair.
Estrogen is lowering.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think of yin and yang as feminine and masculine. I'm always afraid to say that because I think feminists
but it's true.
Get really mad at me. But I think feminine, estrogen, I think yin is, I don't know.
That's exactly right, though.
Yeah, like making the eggs, it's needing to just rest and relax and more harmonize, like part of your cycle for what's happening. And then the yang is more the masculine warmer, hard work,
Protection. Yes, protection, right?
protection, building a safe home in the uterus for, I mean, I know those are like traditional male and female roles, but that's how I think of it.
But that's exactly right. And that's how the Chinese looked at it too.
Yeah.
Because, yin and yang principles can be applied to any aspect of your life. I think I was talking to you last year about overworking, and I felt like I needed more yin energy in my life.
Yeah.
Because yang energy is, working, is running around, is treating all these patients. It's, every second I have a meeting, or not every second, but every hour I have a meeting scheduled. I mean, that's very yang.
Yeah.
So I need to be more yin, which is what you said, a little bit more relaxed, more introspective, things like that. So you're absolutely right, and you're not wrong at all, because the yin energy is the more feminine and the yang is the more masculine. Just like right hand is male, left hand, is female in Chinese medicine. Yang, yin and yang. I know it's hard on screen, because everything is opposite. So when I raise my right hand, I'm actually looking at it left.
This is what I was talking about before we went live. I was like, why would I look at my phone? Am I looking over there? I was like, I can't.
I know, it's so funny. We had to be like, okay, am I looking at the right place now?
Yeah.
We didn't want to be staring and looking to the side.
I still can't get it. That's why I keep going like this. If y'all notice that I'm just randomly moving, I'm like, am I going to go left? Am I going to go right? I'm just staring at myself. Sorry.
So anyway, so I think, those are all really good ways of looking at the yin and yang. But there's one thing I need to stress, and that's your kidney energy. And remember what I said, in your kidney energy, you're born with a certain amount. So in Western medicine, that's just genetics, right? You're born with a certain genetic sequence. And so there are instances where it's very obviously somebody has been born with a little bit more deficient kidney energy. Like anybody who is born with some type of birth defect, that is immediately a kidney energy deficiency symptom. So when we're treating somebody who was born with a defect, we always, in the back of our mind, that is kind of screaming kidney, 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 kidney. So during our treatments, we always have to add kidney foods. So
since now we've gone over the 4 substances, I guess you've kind of explained before, pattern is most important. Patterns are, so basically, since these 4 substances are the forces of what kind of drives your body and your health, when you have a deficiency or a stagnation, it's that in one specific pattern you are lacking or not lacking or whatever,
or it's stuck,
it's stuck.
Right. And so not every substance is going to be stuck or deficient, or and I think that's why somebody like you might ask a question well, qi could be deficient and stagnant. Why can't the yang energy be stagnant? Right. or why can't why can't the yin energy be stagnant? Right.
I wouldn't think blood could be stagnant, because that would make me just think there are blood clots.
But that's exactly what it is. It's blood stagnation. Yes. But
you'll die if you have blood clots all over your body.
But however, blood stagnation is a secondary. It's a very sub pattern, right? That's what I was talking about, where these are all primary patterns, and blood stagnation could be what I call a sub pattern. It's not really because your blood is stuck. It could be because of your qi is stuck, causing the blood to stagnate. And people with blood stagnation have very specific symptoms, a blood stagnation. For example, if you bump into something, you get a bruise, that's a temporary blood stagnation.
I was just about to say, if you bruise easily.
Yes, but that's temporary. And we don't treat that. So if you come in with a bruise, we don't treat, that's not your diagnosis. It happened. But
so it's more acute.
It's an acute, right. Yeah. But for somebody who had a stroke, for example, Now that's blood stagnation,
Yeah.
right? It's severe blood stagnation. Somebody who has super duper sharp stabbing pain in one place during the period, that's blood stagnation. But here's the tricky thing. If it's moving around, that's not blood stagnation.
Right.
So there's a very specific requirement for diagnosis. And I see that a lot in my colleagues where we're discussing cases, and when somebody says they have painful period, they automatically think blood stagnation. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's just that, they are going to be focusing on that versus I always look at, well, what's causing the blood stagnation? It could be qi deficiency. It could be qi stagnation. It could be a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, so then that comes, from, do you treat the branch or do you treat the root? So treating the root cause is always more permanent versus you might give somebody a pill to take that will, like Tylenol, ibuprofen, any type of painkillers might help your period cramp get better that specific cycle, but that's not going to fix the fact that there's some underlying causes of a painful period.
Got it. So can we go through each pattern and talk about?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Great. Where should we start?
So you could have stagnation or deficiency. We know that. So if you just think of stagnation is stuck, something is stuck, it's not moving. Deficiency is just not enough of. You can have qi stagnation and qi deficiency. And the reason why qi is special, it can have deficient and stagnation, it's because it's moving through your body, right? It's kind of like that current going through, the electricity going to your house. You could just have one outlet that's blown out, but the rest of your house is still working.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the whole house, it's not like a total blackout. So that's like an example of qi stagnation. Or in my house at one time, something happened and the entire house, the lights just got dim in the entire house. And something happened where the electricity going to my house was reduced by half, like capacity. So that's an example of qi deficiency.
Sounds like a ghost to me.
So, well, I think it's because, this is a freak accident, you guys. My husband was working at home and there was a lightning storm and it struck our house.
Oh gosh.
Right next to his office. So anyway, so for weeks, our electricity thing was all messed up. But anyway, so that's an example of qi stagnation because the whole house, the electricity, the light was dimmed. Hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So someone who has, can we start there then? Someone who has qi stagnation, what might they be experiencing?
Well, qi stagnation people, so we might only have time for one or two patterns in the specifics because I want to talk about the organ system that's associated with each of these substances.
Perfect.
So you might be like, well, qi, okay. But if I say there are two organs that are responsible for this, just like we have two kidneys, the kidney yin and kidney yang. For qi, there are two organs. One is the liver and one is the spleen. So spleen, and how it works is that you eat the foods, your spleen takes the food and kind of extracts the energy from the foods that you eat. So spleen for us is the digestion, not the stomach. The stomach is doing the hard work. The stomach is definitely grinding up the food, making it into small pieces, but it's the spleen that kind of comes and takes the important energy from the food.
Which is very different from Western.
Very different.
Idea.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need a spleen.
You don't need a spleen, exactly. But if you don't have a spleen in Chinese medicine, you're going to be spleen qi deficient. That's just how people looked at it back then. So the spleen extracts the energy from the foods that you eat, which is why diet is so important, because that's where it starts. You can't, right? And I said before that if any of these organ systems are not functioning 100%, you're going to dip into your kidneys and your reproductive reservoir. Burning the midnight oil is the quickest way to do that. And we've all done that, right? So we've all stayed up too late partying in college or studying, in my case, because, I studied.
Mm-hmm. In college or well into your 20s and 30s, in my case.
So we probably depleted some of our kidney energy back then, and you can't replenish it because it's a savings bank that you take out, but you can't deposit back in.
So that's why sometimes people just need transplants, because you cannot you can't repair your kidney if it comes down to it, to life or death. You have to get a new one.
Exactly.
That's
Absolutely.
So okay.
And you know what really what I love is that the two medicines are so different, but when you really start talking about it, there's actually a lot of similarities. Just to show you that 3,000 years ago, the Chinese understood. They understood that once the kidneys are gone, you're gone. Like you cannot live without them.
Well, I mean, I hate to even say it, but just the length of my life, when people are dying or on their deathbed, you know, whether it's been a family or friend or whatever, I've always heard them say, well, her kidneys are going. And when your kidneys go,
that's it. Yeah.
That's it. I've always, heard that.
Mm-hmm. That's like the last thing to shut down. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. So Chinese medicine's way of looking at it is that, you know, once your kidney qi is all gone, then it's gone. I mean, yes, it takes years, right? Like years and years and years. For some of us in our 70s, some of us in our hundreds. My grandmother's 92 and she's still going strong and waving a Tai Chi sword. So, you know, she's got plenty of kidney qi left, but you know, my grandfather passed away when he was like 85. So again, you know, just to show you, like, everybody is different. But my grandfather, after he retired, he had a really unhealthy lifestyle and he went out with his friends, and that's what you do in China. You retire, and he is such an amazing person. He has so many friends. He just went out and made his rounds with his friends, and you know, that's the story there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so okay.
So you have qi stagnation.
Okay. So spleen takes the qi, right, the energy, foods that you eat, and extracts the energy, and then it sort of distributes it to the rest of your body, but with the help of the liver. So liver is associated with making sure that the energy that's extracted from the spleen gets to where it needs to go. And that's the job of the liver. That's why liver, you might hear your acupuncturist or another Chinese medicine practitioner say liver qi stagnation. It's the same as qi stagnation.
Right.
It's just that liver is the organ that's associated with qi. So if your liver is stuck, then the qi is stuck. And then the spleen function suffers because and vice versa. So like if the spleen qi functions, the liver doesn't have enough to work with. But when the liver is not functioning enough, then the energy that's extracted by the spleen can't get to where it needs to go.
Got it.
So that's why, like, when you have, if your pattern is qi stagnation, you can have cold hands and feet. Like the rest of your body may feel normal, but maybe you feel like your hands and feet can never get warm no matter what. The circulation is not there. So that could be qi stagnation, a symptom of qi stagnation. If your whole body is cold, so there's a difference. Like if it's not just your fingers and your toes, but your entire body's cold, like you feel like you're always that person in the room that needs to wear a heavy jacket, like you're always cold, then that could be qi deficiency. So there's a certain distinction there. But overall, these two organs are responsible for different aspects of qi. And liver, the liver organ, so spleen is obviously affected by diet because that's its function. The liver is mostly affected by emotions. The number one cause of liver qi stagnation is emotions. So every time you get upset, every time you feel any type of stress, it's causing the liver energy to be a little bit more stuck. There's different variations. So, right, so maybe today I have road rage and I come into work with a little bit of liver qi stagnation, but I'm able to resolve that. But I might be somebody who has a chronic anger problem.
Mm-hmm.
then I have chronic liver qi stagnation, which, right, you see the difference there?
And that's obviously going to affect your health.
Because your qi isn't flowing to the organs that they need to go, right? So like it's not even flowing to the right places. It's not going to your extremities. It's probably not going to the ovaries or uterus. So that's going to impact egg quality.
What about things that like are specifically bad for your liver, like alcohol, for instance? Is that going to encourage qi stagnation if you keep
not necessarily, because and alcohol is tricky because traditionally alcohol is not a problem in Chinese medicine because we actually use several different types of alcohol for several different treatment protocols. Mm-hmm. And alcohol is, you have your grain alcohol, you have your grain like sorghum. Oh, sorghum is grain. Grain alcohol. There's like what you can make it out of potatoes. There's gosh, I don't even know some of these ingredients that go into making hard liquor, but it's not like what you're used to here. It's not like vodka. It's not rum. It's not. But we have several different types of wine that people have been drinking for centuries, and we actually use them in our herbs.
Sure, and preservation.
But beyond that, it's actually used to help boost blood flow. So if you have one of the conditions where you're always cold and painful periods and things like that, then sometimes we'll purposely fry the herbs in wine to give it an extra warming property. Mm-hmm. So when you go to like a Chinese supermarket or store and you're looking for like dangui, for example, we talked about dangui. In small amounts, you can use it in soups. You just, you don't want to take it every day. You don't want to be, you don't want to be eating a lot of it every single day. It's too drying. But dangui, for example, there are several different types. There are wine fried dangui. So like we fry it in wine, vinegar fried dangui, honey fried, right? These are all different things that we could do to influence the property of the herb, because honey fried is going to take the harshness out. So honey fried herbs minimizes the harshness. The wine fried is going to help boost blood flow, make it more warming. And then the vinegar fried makes it go to the liver, because liver, one of the tastes that's associated with the liver is sour.
Oh, geez.
So anyway, got off track a little bit there.
Yeah, I just more meant like if you like drank copious amounts of alcohol, you all through.
No, I knew exactly what you meant, but I felt like I needed to just, explain that why wine is not frowned upon. But yes, excessive, absolutely. But excessive is kind of subjective, I think, because you might think that one glass of wine a night is too much, but maybe for me, it's like, well, I'm not drinking any more than 10 drinks a week, so I'm okay. Mm-hmm. But whatever it is, it's really hard to define moderation. So I typically don't tell people to cut out wine when they're trying to get pregnant, because to me, what's acceptable and what I've seen clinically that does not impact fertility is the fact that if you have one glass, a little bit of red wine every single night, that's not a problem for me. I feel like that's totally okay. Sure. It relaxes you, and it's not going to cause liver qi stagnation.
Well, that's kind of what I was asking, is more besides emotions, what else could cause liver qi stagnation? The only thing that came to my mind was alcohol. But
alcohol, well, excessive alcohol, absolutely. And
what are some of the other symptoms of qi stagnation besides cold hands and feet?
Well, somebody who has liver qi stagnation could be chronically constipated, because it's just, your qi is very stuck there. Mm-hmm. They could have they feel like they have to sigh a lot, right? Yeah. And I know that you do.
I do.
But even though that's not your primary pattern, it's because your primary patterns can affect the liver. So everything is kind of connected. That's why when you take the pattern quiz, you're checking off the boxes in every single pattern, but the top two are your primary. is because everybody's going to have something in every category. That's just the way it is. You have to think of your body as something that everything is connected. Do not think that, that one glass of wine didn't affect, the 10 drinks that you had that one night isn't going to have an impact on something a week later.
Right.
It's going to. I felt like I went off on the tangent, which I do.
Well, no, it's about time to wrap up. But so anything else you want to say about symptoms of qi stagnation? And then the next time we'll pick up with qi deficiency.
Yeah. So like PMS, somebody who PMSs a lot, that's classic liver qi stagnation, easily frustrated, irritability, frequent headaches, just a lot of emotional stuff. You can definitely attribute to liver qi stagnation. But liver qi stagnation, a lot of times we see it with spleen qi deficiency, which we'll talk about next time. And
yes, we have a date to talk about.
IBS, that's classic. If you have IBS symptoms when you're under stress, that's classic qi stagnation. So, okay.
Got it.
Thank you, everyone, for those of you who are on the show or joining us on the show. But one thing real quick I want to say just before we sign off, we have a new group. We have a new Facebook group called Fertile Me. And so excited because we're going to be transitioning everybody from the Practically Fertile group into the Fertile Me group. So
new group.
Yeah. I would love for you guys to join us. Just search for Fertile Me on Facebook, and then we'll answer the questions and we'll let you in. And it's the same people, same admin, Tara and Ashley and I. So we hope to see you there. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.